which I can move forward, backward, or stop.
Alexa, stop this nonsense. Okay, what have I been up to? I wonder if that violates some copyright. I've been trying to calm my stupid mind. I don't believe in multiple personalities, but I am a little confused. Maybe we all, what do the Christians consider original sin? We all have, Freud, an id, an ego, and a superego. The id wants things, the id's impulsive, the ego is practical, realizes, well, if you grab the cookie, you're a cookie thief and you'll get your knuckles not, if you touch the stove, you'll burn your fingers. The ego is practical. You say a certain thing, and no one's going to like you. They'll consider you stupid, crazy, bigoted, racist, communist. So you better not say that thing, even if you feel it. And then later, you thought, why did I have that thought going through my head? Why? Why is it there? Why does anger change me? So I've been trying to do things. I don't know the level of sincerity. Maybe I lack discipline and I'm just playing a game in my head. But I'm trying to do things that will calm my mind down. I remember a quote from, I think it was Sitting Bull or Geronimo or some Native American leader, and he says, inside my mind lives two dogs, a good dog and a bad dog, or a cooperative dog and one dog that wants to bite people. Whichever dog dominates my soul is the one I feed. So I've been trying to feed my soul peace, all these goofy things. I just think that I could be wrong. Maybe we're supposed to be divided. The Christians and the Jews and the Muslims, they all hate each other, it seems. Well, they do. I mean, on some level, they form alliances. For example, 1,000 years ago, the Jews and the Muslims got along quite well in the Muslim world. I'm sure if lived in an Islamic country and you weren't a Muslim, you had to pay a certain sort of tax, and you weren't eligible to be like in leadership. But they weren't exterminate. I think you can live a pretty normal life. They wouldn't try to exterminate you. Whereas in medieval Christianity, Jews had to live in a ghetto. They weren't allowed to own property or businesses. There were many restrictions, and then there were pogroms and things like that, or they'd get expelled, like they were in. I'm just quoting facts. When the Muslims controlled Spain, I think Christians were allowed to practice their religion on some level, and I think Jews lived rather peacefully. And then when the Inquisition came, you had to be a good Catholic, or they would. Did they burn you or stick pokers in your butt? Or they do all kinds of really horrible things. And then the propaganda today is that, oh, it wasn't that bad. It's all been exaggerated. Well, I don't believe. Being raised Protestant, I know that none of that's true. I'm not saying it's true, but I think being Protestants, you're always, since you, in the United States, people are allowed to practice freely any religion. And then I guess the neighborhood I lived in, it was never discussed, but I think Catholics were a majority, so you weren't supposed to say anything particularly impolite. But I think by osmosis, I picked up a sense of superiority, that we didn't drink as much, there wasn't a mafia, that the Catholic Church had a chip on its shoulder because they weren't a majority religion. What do I know from I don't think I learned it in school, but the Catholic Church was horribly corrupt, repressed science and ideas. And one of the reasons the United States was formed, I'm pretty sure this is true, people were taught this, was to get away from European tyranny, not just the Catholic Church, but like the Anglican Church was basically a Catholic church. In the Protestant world in the North, there was the Lutheran Church. Every European country had a certain religion that dominated and would not allow dissenting churches to practice. And I also know if you study the Counter Reformation, the Catholic Church was extremely repressive to Protestants. I mean, like really brutal. And I think the other way around. There's Ireland was treated terribly. We smashed up churches. Yeah, the Irish, I think, were the place where. Although I don't think that was as religious as people think it was. I think it was based on because initially there were two competing types of Catholicism, and one of them was centered in Ireland. So the Pope in ancient times, like the 1100s, sent the Anglo-Normans, which were the French people that were running England, to conquer Ireland. And the Pope actually told them, "Yeah, you can have Ireland. It's yours." The Pope did that. This was before Protestants even existed. And then the England became Anglican, and the Anglican Church. Is it debatable that they're even Protestants? They repressed the dissenting churches to the point that Wolfe Tone in Northern Ireland was a Protestant. I think he was a Methodist. Alexa, what religion was Wolfe Tone?
Wolfe Tone was a Protestant, and he was the leader of the United Irishmen, a political group that sought independence from British rule and unity for Ireland.
Although I don't know what kind of Protestant he was, but I think maybe a Presbyterian. He was a member of a dissenting church. He was not an Anglican, I know that. If Anglicans are even. Don't Anglicans call themselves Catholics? And they have the same rituals and baubles. Henry VIII just needed a divorce, that's all. And the Anglican Church was very repressive in Ireland. The whole purpose of the United States, and it stated that all people would have a religion, but the United States was based on culturally on Christianity. There's some dispute about whether the government was Christian, and I think that's valid. That religion and government should be separate, which I believe in. I waver. I've been studying Lutheranism, and I find the Lutheran religion fascinating for one purpose. Northern Europeans are very secular now. So whatever religion they had kind of seemed to lead to a godless society eventually. It was allowed to happen. So it was a benign religion that also led to the Nordic social welfare state, because the values of Lutherans were divergent dramatically from the Calvinist Protestant values of individualism, which is why our society is so hostile to charity or any sort of collective action. And Lutheran societies were collective action. Obviously, wasn't atheist or Marxist, but was more organic. It's like if you live in a society, you owe that society a duty. And their attitudes towards wealth were different too. It's not wealth is a sign that God favors you. And the Lutheran religion is anything you have above the amount to be comfortable, you're breaking one of God's commandments. You know that if give all your money to the poor and come and follow. Greed. It's greed. It's a sin, and it's looked down on. So even within Christianity and even within Protestantism, there are great differences in values that cause conflict. Which is why I decided that maybe I should look elsewhere other than the Abrahamic religions, and should look elsewhere other than politics, because politics is very sterile and very empty. And if you don't have any foundation, I think, in religion or God, you're permitted to do anything, which is why you have people like Stalin and Lenin just slaughtering people. Now, was Hitler an atheist? He was raised Catholic. He was culturally Catholic. there are people, a lot of people even in church that don't really believe in God. They just go there because it's part of their culture. There are Jews that are like that. There are Protestants that are like that. Muslims, I suppose, there are some, but it's, I mean, that culture is just so theocratic. There is, see, that's the reason why. There's no separation between church and state in the Islamic society. No enlightenment period. No sense that the government should not be based on religious views, but on secular views that do not promote religion, but allow people to practice their religion in an uninterfered way, in a free way, as long as they are not interfering with other people's religions. Now, is that perfect? No. Has that always been followed? Absolutely not. But that was the value. It's like, do we always live up to our values? Oh, God, no. There was slavery. Women did have a right to vote. And in the beginning, those things weren't even considered. It's why people today are talking about the original intent of the Constitution. Well, fuck the original intent of the Constitution. A society that was very, not only, well, see, this is a bad thing. This is where the paradox in life comes in. This society was based on a Protestant culture that felt that the Catholic Church was basically totalitarian. The Catholic Church, some Protestants will say, led to communism and fascism because it was the original totalitarian ideology. It was just too big. And the United States, at least, was based on the fact that things should be, if the government is a necessary evil at best and an intolerable evil at worst. So we developed this weird, not completely illegitimate, but this hyper individualist society that it's just so hostile to any sort of government action. And yet now we have this thing over abortion, which is the one kind of thing about it. I don't think it's the government's business. You say, well, the government should decide this. No, it shouldn't. The individual should. I'm a guy. I don't even have a uterus. Why? What the fuck does it? I mean, in a lot of cases, I say to myself, well, I was just watching something on Dr. Drew, and it was so extreme. I was like, is this made up? About a woman who was very narcissistic, who had like 8 abortions, because I guess she didn't want to practice birth control, and she's a very selfish individual. Now, do I approve of that? I thought, well, okay, here's a very good argument for restrictions on abortions. 8 abortions? Abortion should be used as a last resort. But then I'm telling myself, what the fuck business of yours is this? This is none of your business. This person might be irresponsible. This person might be selfish and reckless. They're not really hurting anybody else. And then I'll be honest. Is a fetus a human being? In my mind, it seems kind of nuts to say that. It's growing inside another person. I don't remember anything from the womb, and I don't know if it's possible to remember anything. I don't think most people remember anything in the womb. It's like, is an abortion painful to a fetus? Well, I don't know. Is killing a cow painful? I have to say, I could be wrong on this. When people ask me, is a fetus a human being? On one level, yeah, it has human DNA. On a more spiritual or sophisticated level, I'd say, hell no. It can't get up and walk around. It can't even, you know. How is waste dealt with? A fetus. It can't poop. It can't pee. It can't breathe. And even the Bible says, when you take your first breath, you're a human being. So it's pre-life. I honestly don't think you can say a baby in a womb is a human being. And I don't consider it that. I'm very squeamish about abortion. I don't take it lightly. But I take it so seriously. It's like, people shouldn't drink. I mean, that's hypocritical because I drank for 50 years. But smoking and drinking and many other bad habits, all suffering comes from desire. Should the government tell people whether they should smoke dope? Well, I mean, I think there are exceptions. Smoking crack makes you useless and a thief and turns you into a zombie. I think there are legitimate reasons why the government should interfere with your individual behavior. child molesters and child pornography is a good example. Well, it's none of my business. Well, if you want these maniacs, and there's something wrong with them, unless you want these maniacs raping kids, you have to put restrictions on them. Should we kill them? I mean, because it's really bad. I don't care what anybody says, oh, they're not misunderstood. I fucking understand. They want to fuck kids. There's something wrong with their brains. Now, they also say that most people that have this is the secret thing. They've done studies. A lot more people have these urges, and that they seem seemingly normal. You could be sitting next to one, but they control them, and they know it's bad, so they keep it very, very quiet. They might not even know it's in their brain. It might just pop up. Like a lot of people before homosexuality became such a pervasive cultural talking point. It says, I didn't even know what homosexuality was. I didn't know I was homosexual until the one day I saw a naked guy or something in the boys' room, and I started feeling attracted. I guess that's the same thing with child molesters. All of a sudden, they realize they have this attraction. Now, most of them are able to control it. Most of them feel extremely ashamed that they have these urges, and they never act on them. But the ones that do are like a shark. It's like blood in the water. Once you have that, they've got no control, and they have an irresistible urge. It's like a rapist. They're psychopathic. They have no sense of right and wrong. Do I believe in the death penalty? I don't know. Are we barbaric for keeping for killing, or are we more barbaric for letting these people? I think we should just lock them up. I know it's expensive, but the humane thing to do is just lock them up forever. Treat them basically decently, even though I would have the urge to like torture them to death. But we're supposed to be better than that. But the one thing is, some do-gooder, and I say this sarcastically because they're not doing good, is going to try to say, oh, they're reformed, we can let them out. You can't let these rabid dogs out. So maybe the people that say just kill them are right. My objection to that would be someone wants to slow torture him. Well, by most religions, it's like if God wants to torture him in hell forever, that's up to him. It's not up to us. The main thing is protecting the kids, right? So I think there have to be restrictions on individual behavior. Now you're saying, well, how does abortion protect a kid? A fetus isn't a kid. It isn't here yet. I mean, I really believe that. That's not abuse any more than it is to fry up eggs or cook a chicken. It's not human yet. It might have human DNA. I mean, there are corpses in the ground that are human beings, but they're dead. I'm sorry, but that's the way I look at it. I could be wrong. And maybe you think I'm profoundly evil for believing that, but I think in my heart of hearts, in my subconscious, that's the way I look at a fetus. It's like, it could be life. I think I believe something I read one time. If a fetus pops out of you and you're a woman and you're looking at it, oh, well, my body produced that. You got a month. If you want to drown it in the bathtub, I mean, I know this isn't the law, and I'm not advocating for this. In my mind, it would be like, oh, well, you made it. If you want to take it out. Once that kid's like a month old, if you don't want it, you should. I think if a baby pops out and it's healthy, you don't kill it. You turn it over to like a hatchery or something, or an orphanage. That's what you should do. But once that kid is out of your body, well, I give it a month actually. Say through neglect or something. But once the kid reaches like a month, it's not part of you anymore. And well, I mean, it's society's problem then. If society wants to keep it alive, it's society's collective responsibility for taking care of it. If human life is so important, but if it's growing in somebody else's body, fuck off. It's none of your business. See, these are the divisive. I think somebody told me in Buddhism they don't believe the soul enters the body till you're like 2 years old. So like abortion isn't really that big a deal because there's no soul in the body yet, and it's a matter of karma. Pardon me while I comb my hair. My hair's growing and it's so curly. I mean, if I let it grow any longer, you'll probably see that. anyways, there are these big conflicts between the Christians and the Jews and the Muslims, and they've always been so cruel. Christians were cruel to Jews. Um, Christians hate Jews because they think the Jews killed Jesus. Some extremists say that communism is the work of the devil, and most of the people that formed the communist ideology were Jews. And just, if you're going to look at the facts, that's kind of true. The people that ran the Soviet Union, the thinkers, Lenin, Trotsky, Marx. I heard somebody say that Stalin was Jewish, but I don't. Did he marry a Jewish woman? See, this is how prejudice starts. All these things like Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein are rich Jews that run Hollywood, and all they did was rape shiksas. But so did Trump, and he's a Protestant. Prince Andrew. This is like one person does a bad thing. Actually, we've got a pretty long list here. And all of a sudden, the whole culture, the whole race or religion, in this case, is held collectively guilty. Now, my objection is that's exactly what the Jews are doing. It's kind of hypocritical because that's what they're doing to the Muslims in Gaza. They're holding them collectively guilty. There are Christians that live in Gaza, also Catholics. There are Lutherans and evangelical Christians. See, this is it. To blame Jews only, or I don't even think predominantly, is wrong. If you're going to hold anybody collectively guilty for what's going on in Gaza, I think the group that you really have to blame are evangelical Christians, and I'll tell you why. They invented the whole Zionist thing. That was their idea. They're trying to bring Jesus back so they can kill everybody that's not a Christian, and they're going to start with the Jews. And somehow the Jews are okay with this. But the Jews are kind of saying, oh, well, they think they're using us, we'll use them. I know Hamas is bad, and I know I play the devil's advocate a lot. I want to repeat that so that people know something about my brain that's real. I play the devil's advocate because I think that arguing is a game. When I was a kid, I'll tell you where this came from. I felt somehow that being able to express myself, to let people, maybe it was selfish or ego, but I wanted people to know exactly what I meant. I figured if they could understand what was going on in my mind, I could convince them. And the only problem was I didn't have the right words. And also, then I came to the conclusion, as someone told me, it's not a matter of the right words. You have to learn how to reason and logic and present your argument convincingly. And the way you do that is you learn to debate. The logical fallacies involved in debate, which is fighting dirty or fighting ineffectively. Krav Maga is effective, though. Fighting dirty and being effective are two different things. Like Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is a very effective debater. And he doesn't use logic. He presents himself as profoundly confident. He says things, and when it comes out of his mouth, it sounds like he knows what he's talking about. I think he's a smart guy. I think he knows that a lot of things that he says is just complete and utter bullshit. But he says it anyways because he benefits from it. And like Shatner. Remember Shatner? Every word he said was like Moses coming down from the mountain. There could someone who presents a much more effective argument that you won't listen to simply because they're not good at speaking and they're not good at the game. They might have more logical arguments, they might have the facts, but they might be talking in a voice like Truman Capote. And they just don't present themselves properly in a way that seems manly or commanding. Yeah, but if you look at this study and you take this logic would dictate. I'll give you an example. That knives are more dangerous than an assault rifle. And if you look at the statistics, I think knives might kill more people than assault rifles? Because assault rifles are expensive. But statistically, the FBI statistics say that rifles kill 500 people a year, and knives, I think it's like 1,100. I might be getting the statistics wrong, but here's the gist of the argument. Here's the problem. There are other categories, other weapons. Now, logically speaking, and people say this, other weapons is a very nebulous and broad category. Are there rifles in that category? Almost definitely. Someone just said it was another weapon. We don't know what kind of weapon. We didn't put it down specifically, but it's an other weapon. Other firearms. Now, what the hell is other firearms? That's a category that's like 2,000-3,000 firearms. They didn't know specifically whether it was a handgun, a rifle, or a shotgun. So are all other firearms shotguns? No, some of them are rifles. Most of them are rifles, probably. There might be a few handguns in there and a few shotguns. They just didn't specifically state for the record that it was a rifle. So there's that. And that's conveniently forgotten about by someone like Ben Shapiro. He just points to specifically, let's use that argument because it's one I know he'll probably argue about. Or another argument that used is the Muslim world is huge, and the Jewish world in the middle of the Muslim world is only like 1%, less than 1% of the land area. But let's take another argument. Say that the Muslims that live in Dearborn, Michigan, decide they want to form an Islamic state and secede from the United States. Well, that's less than 1%. Why shouldn't they have that land? I don't think the Christians in this country, or even secular people, would be happy if they seceded. And I think that's mostly why Muslims object to a Jewish state. I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just saying, look at their argument. It's because all this land was Muslim. They took it from the Christians. And I guess the Christians had a kingdom in Israel for 200 years till it was taken back by, what was it, Saladin? It's all very interesting and all very bloody. They're all taking turns slaughtering each other. So I guess the Jews figure after all this slaughter that they've got some slaughtering of their own to do now that they have this wonderful army. And they are. They're starving. They're just deliberately shooting people that are starving and trying to get food, which is evil. It's as evil as anything the Nazis did. So I look at the Abrahamic religions. They're very, you're going to hell, we're going to heaven. They're very exclusionary. And I say, if that really is God, fuck him. But do I want to go out and worship Satan? I'm not a good person, but there's part of me that wants to be a good person, or at least think they're a good person. So I picked Buddhism because basically Buddhism is the denial of fleshly pleasures, because you're not really going to gain any happiness from them. In the end, any modicum of pleasure you might get from, say, sex or drugs or even material possessions is going to be counterbalanced by the negative effect it's going to have on your physicality or on your soul. It will never be enough cocaine. It will never be enough sex. It will never be enough mansions. Or even a person as wonderful as Jay Leno, and he kind of performs a public service because guys like cars. He'll never have enough cars. He's got warehouses full of them. He's a nice guy. He shares his cars with other people. I don't think he's doing anything bad. He's very encouraged. He's very pro-electricity. So it's hard to say that his obsession with automobiles is somehow hurting anybody or hurting himself. He seems very happy. But my point is, he's never going to have enough cars. People never have enough mansions. I suppose in the world of human possessions, having a car museum is about as benign as you can go. And Jay seems like a nice guy. And I like watching his show. So I'm going to give Jay a pass. But that's what I'm saying. He's one guy with like $1 billion worth of play toys. And he'll never have enough. Most people, one car is enough. They're happy to have their one car. It drives them around. Their little house. But in the back of their mind, if they could go out and be rich. But the thing is, it's like cocaine or alcohol. for many or most people, it's never enough, and that's why people become alcoholics or drug addicts or um, billionaires, because it's never enough. Buddhism says be happy with what you have, wear clothes, get food, you know, but like avoid things. Do you need tobacco? No, you don't need tobacco, and tobacco is very harmful for your health. Any pleasure you get from tobacco, and when you think about it, it's really not a lot. You get addicted. It hurts your veins and your lungs and your heart, and eventually it's going to make you suffer terribly if you get cancer. Alcohol, cirrhosis. So I finally had to give up drinking because, well, have I? I'm going to nurse myself back to health, and I'll eventually. I'd like to think that I've given up forever, but I know me. I'll get bored and go out and start it all up again. But it's been almost a year with no booze. I had one Irish coffee on the day before Thanksgiving, and then I thought, well, it looks like I'm going to get drunk. I put the glass down and I ordered an Uber and I walked away from that bar. For the first time in about 50 years, I had one drink and one drink only, and that was enough. Although I think there were times when I had quit drinking that I had one beer, and that was it, just one beer. So it hasn't been 50 years, but it sounds more profound than saying 30. But there was a 20-year period where I drank like that. Like I'd have a beer every year, or every other year, or every 3 years. If someone offered me an alcoholic beverages, and it was a special occasion, I would drink it either to be polite or to tell myself, you're not stodgy Puritan. You will do pleasurable things, just not to excess. I mean, if you have a beer every 5 years, I think that was it. If you have an alcoholic beverage every 5 years, you're not really a drinker. I finished the beer, but it was like, besides alcohol, makes you feel tired. It's not good for you. So I like Buddhism. Also, the idea that Alexa, unpause.
As if you were running a videotape with start, fast forward, stop, and rewind buttons. Subject, laughs. That's the idea. Dr. N. All right. You are moving along the track, scanning scenes, and you decide to stop. Tell me what you do.
Alexa, pause. We're all part of this big cosmic weirdo-ness, okay? Now that sounds goofy, and it may not be true, and I don't think I believe it completely, but it makes me feel more peaceful and less hateful. Don't hate the Muslims. Don't hate the Jews. Don't hate the Catholics. Don't hate the... I end up hating groups that I'm a member of. I don't particularly like Germans. I don't particularly like certain Protestants. I don't really like... The only reason I like Protestantism is it seems to lead to godlessness. A lot of those Northern European societies have extremely high levels of atheism. And Buddhism is a good religion for me because it's spiritual and it teaches you to practice good karma and be considerate of other people. But is there a God? Is Buddha a God? Buddha is a guy that got in touch with the cosmic truth about reincarnation and the force of the universe. It's very ephemeral, and I think I like that. But we're all part of one thing. There's no this be ye separate from them, hating people because they're not members of your religion or war. Does that mean that I'm peaceful? Not all the time. I'm trying to drag. It's like I'm in a bar fight, and part of me is another person trying to drag me out of the fight and be less hateful. So it is. It's like yin yang, dark and light. It's like two people inside me trying to fight. So if you read really horrible things I write, 1, it's devil's advocate. 2, I'm being a troll. And 3, it's like, yeah, I think maybe at that moment I actually meant that. And then I am bipolar. It's good. 15 minutes later, I'll look at it and go, oh my God. Would you say that to somebody's face? Would you say something that ugly and that cruel to somebody's face? Why did you say that? You said that because somebody tried to disrespect you or talk down to you or treat you like you were less. and you didn't like that. So you said something mean to get back at them. Did you mean it? I think part of me did, and part of me is deeply, deeply ashamed that I would have things like that stuck in my soul. But here's the thing, we all do. You probably have more self-control than I do. What do I have, though? You've probably seen these in other videos. I'm not supposed to have... You know, firearms in this country are so easy to get, but the reason why I don't have them, they're expensive. And you can't order them on the internet. What can you order on the internet? Flashlights. See how bright that is? You shine that in somebody's eye. I could give someone an epileptic seizure doing this. So that's a defensive weapon. Even if you're not epileptic, that's gonna fry your brain. I got the mace. I don't even, these are so old I don't know if they work, but I got lots of them. I got a taser around here someplace, but I keep it hidden because I don't want it to be confiscated. But it's not a firearm. You can order it on Amazon. Anything I can order on Amazon for less than... I got some bear spray coming, I think. But here's what I really like that you can get through the mail. And if you're in close quarters with somebody, and I've watched these things, even gun people saying, if you're in close quarters, before you can get your gun out, if someone's within striking distance, someone with one of these just might have an advantage. Just might have an advantage. If you can get up close, go for your throat, get it in there and thrust or slash. Knives are sometimes slashing weapons. You cut open an artery, you can cause an extreme amount of pain, and then you get in and you jab and thrust and twist. It's like $10, $20. I've ordered a lot of them, and a lot of them are just shit. They really are. The blades are wobbly. I like the way this one looks, but see, it's there's the spring is soft, and the blade wobbles. This is not, if you stab somebody with this, you very might break the blade off. It might just, yeah, it wobbles. It's no good. It was awesome. So I kept ordering knives till I got a hold of one. This is it. That's good. It's a good solid thing. Even without a blade, if you were to take it and hit somebody with this little, it's to break glass. Oh, I got these. I didn't even know if these are legal, but I guess they are because I ordered them. Not through Amazon, but somewhere in Europe.
This is a reminder. God is a comedian playing to an audience too afraid to laugh.
That's my religious belief.
This is a reminder. God is a comedian playing to an audience too afraid to laugh.
Because none of this makes any sense. And what did Voltaire say? If there was no God, we'd have to invent one. I think I kind of believe that. Even if there is no God, we should behave as if there is one, and I'll tell you why. Society that have been atheists, in our society is becoming more godless. And I thought, well, that's good. I used to think that was great because religion divided people, and it was horrible, and it was bigoted, and it was backwards, and it was reactionary, and it made people divide themselves and believe really hateful things. Oh, you're a Jew, I want to kill you. Oh, you're Allah Akbar, you're not a Muslim. If you don't convert, I'm going to kill all of you. Most Christians today are pretty tolerant, but there are ones that aren't. You don't believe in my specific brand of Protestantism, you're going to hell, and I don't want you living. All these really, women should bow their heads and have babies, and men should control women. The whole thing about abortion now. It's like, I'm not pro-abortion. I think I was saying that before. I just don't think it's anybody's business. I really don't. Doesn't mean I'm for something. Do I think alcohol should be illegal? Sometimes I think maybe it should. No, it doesn't mean that I'm pro-alcohol or I think everybody should be an alcoholic. Do I think marijuana should be legal? Again, I used to be so pro for that, but I'm not quite so sure. People used to say that marijuana was harmless, and I think the more studies show that it's not. It damages the brain over the years, and eventually people become psychotic. I love my little knifey. I gotta have something to defend myself with, and this thing is a mean, badass little fucking knife. So you come up on me and want to hurt me because of whatever. Always know I got this in my pocket, and if you let me get too close to you, when I was young, I used to be a bouncer, and I used to carry a 38, and I used to carry mace, and I had a taser, but I always had a blade. I always had a blade, and for some reason, I wasn't really too good with the other ones. Maybe it's just being mean. I was always very good with a fucking knife. So if you see me and you get in close, don't. If you're gonna do some damage to me, have a weapon that you can strike from a distance. Maybe sneak up behind me. Because if you get too close, I want you to know something. I'm not gonna come and attack you, but if you come and attack me, I'm really good with this. I am because I'm a cook. I'm a cook. I can slice your throat. I mean, I'm a fat old man, and I've got bad, and I even got arthritis. But I can hold this thing, and I know how to use it. And before you know it, I got it between your ribs, your rib cage, and it's in your heart, and you just twist, or you hit a jugular and you slash. You know what the Sicilians call a Sicilian necktie. So even if you got a gun, if you're in close quarters, one of these is deadly. I think statistically, knives kill more people than assault weapons. Now, here's the logic I want to go back to. Does that mean that knives are more? If that was the case, soldiers would be running into battle with these because they were more deadly than assault. What do they run into a battle with? They don't run into battle with shotguns or hunting knives or handguns. They run into battle with an assault rifle. And why is that? Because they were designed to kill people. Select fire. Even a semi-automatic assault weapon. Now, assault weapon is not a clinical term like an assault rifle is. Assault rifle is a real thing. It's a real term. It means a rifle that has an intermediate cartridge that can be fired. Select either, and there are many ways. There's semi-automatic. There's burst fire, like usually the most common burst is 3-round, although I think they're 2-round also. I've never heard of a 4-round burst or a 5-round burst, but I think 3-round burst, and then full auto. You pull that trigger and brrr, especially if it's not an intermediate cartridge, like say a 308, which is a battle rifle, because 308 is not an intermediate cartridge. It is a full-size cartridge, and that's why an M14 or an FNFL, it's technically not an assault rifle. It's a battle rifle, because it's a full-sized rifle. And it's not necessarily to be fired, even though the M14 and most FNFALs fired in select fire. They were useless. It was just up and over, and it's hard to control a weapon with a cartridge that big. It's fucking useless. It's why the British, the L1A1, was only semi-automatic, because you're just wasting ammo. Anyways, I'm trying to calm my soul with the Buddhist thing. We're all part of one thing. And these divisions are illusions that poison our soul, and that we should be working towards nirvana. Now, if any of this is true, I don't know. But if somehow it makes me feel better and calms me down, and I know that every once in a while someone's going to find some horrible thing that I said on the internet, and they're going to think, well, this guy's a Nazi, or this guy's a communist, or this guy's he's fucking Charles Manson. He's out of his goddamn mind. No, crazy people don't know they're crazy, and they're always crazy, and they never calm down. Someone like me has issues, but obviously, you say, well, he's just putting on an act. He's acting sane. Well, yeah, that's actually true. But if you can do that, if you have enough presence of mind to be lucid and to talk articulately, as I am now, even if it's just all phony baloney, which it isn't. I'm not that good of an actor. This is really me now, trying to be a nicer person. If I insulted Protestants, or if I said something about Catholics, or if I said something about Muslims or Jews, or you know what? I won't apologize for insulting Ayn Rand or objectivists, because I just think you're horrible people. I have said things like Stalin did no wrong just to piss people off. I think it's terrible that in the back of my mind, I might say nice things about Stalin. Stalin killed more people than Hitler. I think I've even argued to get people mad. Hitler wasn't all bad. And I think part of me actually believes that. Oh, he built the Autobahn. He made Germany great again. I'm part German. People persecute. I think part of my brain believes this. People persecute us Germans, demonize us, treat us as we're mass murderers and baby killers. And we're no more guilty of that than anybody. We just got the upper hand. Now you look at the Jews. They got the upper hand in Israel right now. Like the Nazis, the Zionists have a great army, and good for them. Like the Germans, they worked really hard to create this precision army. That's why this thing in Gaza has me wondering. The Jews aren't schlubs, and their army isn't a schlubby army. It's a good army. How could they have been caught off guard? Or did Netanyahu kind of manipulate things? I mean, obviously, I don't think he's control of Hamas, but he knows what Hamas is. Say you're mad at your wife. She's a member of your family. Or you've got a kid that you're mad about. Or you're a cop, and someone on your beat filed a complaint. Now, you're not in charge of all the hoodlums in the neighborhood, but you know that this hoodlum, we'll call it Hamas, is out for someone you don't like. Say all the lefties and the kibbutzes. And you know they're going to attack. But they're not going to attack someone you like, even though they're a member of your precinct or your tribe. It's a member of your tribe that you don't necessarily like. And you need an excuse to go apeshit on the thugs. So instead of doing your job and preventing this assault from happening, you make it worse. You show up, and when you do finally show up, instead of shooting Hamas, you fire into the crowd and you killed as many people being taken hostage as you can, and you burn them. And you say, Hamas did this. So now you've killed two birds with one stone. This is my theory. Whether it's true or not, who knows? But I really believe this. But then again, I could be wrong. I'm often wrong. I think what Netanyahu did said, I don't like these kibbutz guys. They're all lefty. They want to get me out. They're angry. They're protesting me in my Supreme Court, and they want me out. So I'll take them out, and I'll let Hamas do what Hamas does, because Hamas is basically a bunch of thugs. They're angry and say, "Oh well, they were poor." You know, it's like that argument. Well, I'll tell you one thing though. I don't believe that maybe they were, but I don't believe in my heart of hearts that the Native Americans were savages for killing white people. White people were taking their land. White people were killing them, and they were just fighting back any way that they could. Now, I've made the argument that Hamas is basically Sitting Bull and Geronimo. They're just nobly fighting a lost cause. They're fighting back any way they can because they know they're dead. They know that the Jews are coming for them. I think that is in reality, if you want to know what I actually think, I don't think that that's an equitable argument. First of all, in modern society can't really be compared to the Wild West. And I think some of the things the white people did were just, we were trying to wipe them out. Now, are the Jews trying to wipe the Muslims out? First of all, there are an awful lot of them. I think they just want them off their land, and they're being very brutal. But I don't think it's quite equitable. In my heart of hearts, I wouldn't want Hamas living next door to me. I'll tell you that. And I've got Jews in the neighborhood, and they're perfectly fine neighbors. Some of them are really, really wonderful people that I like. I feel bad about having these. I was watching a thing about how bigots, and I guess this is me. Horrible. Hitler actually had a doctor, I think it was a dentist, who was a Jew. And when all this was going on, he says, Adolf, remember me, Mr. Hitler? Yeah, you were sick, I took care of you. And my cousin, the dentist, he pulled that molar out of your tooth. Please don't gas us, Mr. Hitler. And Hitler wrote a note and says, these are good Jews. I don't tell anybody I'm doing this. But Hitler did do that for a couple people he knew, his personal friends. We're going to make an exception because I know you and you seem nice. That's the perversity of the brain. that as an individual you can like people and just think that they're really nice, kind people. But then as a group, that's what they used to say, that Southerners loved Negroes, or the black people as individuals and hated them as a race. And the Northerners loved Negroes. This is such an old quote. I shouldn't say that word. Loved African Americans. Well, they didn't say niggers, but they didn't use the politically correct term because this was an old adage. The Southerners loved Negroes as individuals and hated them as a race, and that Northerners loved Negroes as a race, but absolutely hated them as individuals. And I think that's our brains are so complicated and so flawed that we do these terrible things in our mind. We get angry. Obviously, not all Jewish people are responsible for slaughtering people. I will tell you where my animosity came from, and I'm just going to explain it. I think it's justified, but on a rational level, I know it is. It definitely isn't. This is the schizophrenia in my brain. Obviously, I'm not. Am I schizo? I'm schizoaffective. When I was a kid, I knew a lot of Jews, and they knew I was German, and they would be a little manipulative. You know, buy the cupcakes. You're a German. You gassed all the Jews. Let me date your sister. You owe me. It's like that was like, well, I feel guilty, but fuck you. You know, Ari, stay the fuck away from my sister. But they do that, and I feel like maybe I should buy him a bagel. I feel terrible. And then and my family, I said, well, my family hid Jews. The Dutch ones hid Jews. And they did. That actually did happen. Did I? No. Would I? You know what? I think I'm a coward. I'll tell you exactly what I would have done if I was in the Netherlands and the Nazis were in charge. I wouldn't collaborate because I know, well, especially knowing what I know now. I just try to mind my own business and not end up in a concentration camp. I'm a coward. I wouldn't help you. Because basically I don't really like, unless it was somebody I knew, maybe somebody I wanted to fuck. See, I'm a terrible person. Or someone who was nice and sympathetic. I think as a person to a person, I would say, you know what, let's do away with the divisions. You're a Jew, I'm a bad Christian, maybe an atheist. But deep down, we're just all people. And I don't want to see anything bad happen to you as an individual. You don't deserve it. You didn't do anything wrong. I know you as an individual. You're not a bad person. You're a good person. And you certainly don't deserve to be carted off in some filthy, poop-filled train to a concentration camp and turned into soap and tortured and have unspeakable medical experiments performed on you. But yet, as a group, a lot of people, not me, but a lot of people said, well, you know, the Jews, they killed Christ. They're responsible for communism. They cheat people. They're dishonest. They're manipulative. They deserve it. Collective punishment. And now you have Jews in Israel now going, they're animals. The Muslims are animals. They're trying to kill us. We have to survive. Just fucking kill them all. But you know, the thing, it's even worse because I think it's forgivable for Jews to feel that way. They are surrounded by people that want to kill them, rightly or wrongly. I think Jews rightfully feel that they're put upon. They're surrounded by extremely hostile people, and that they're justified in anything they do to Muslims because Muslims are these wild animals just trying to come and kill them. I don't agree. I don't think that's I think it's a very toxic attitude, but it's understandable. What I think is completely unforgivable are evangelical Protestants or any sort of Christian in this country, Christian nationalists, who have this attitude, rah, rah, rah. The Jews are on our team for the time being. And the Jews are killing people we hate even more than Jews, and that's Muslims. So the Jews are good. Because we hate the Muslims are our enemy, and anything you do, even to a little Muslim baby or an old Muslim man, they're all our enemies. We should show them no pity. What kind of fucking Christian are you? I'm not a good Christian, but what kind of a person are you? You're in your safe little home in the United States, surrounded with all your weapons. Yeah, you won't get vaccinated because God's going to protect you. If God's going to protect you, what the hell do you need with the AR-15? What? God's going to protect you. What's very shameful, I think to a certain extent, it's understandable why Hamas exists. I also think it's understandable why you have extreme Jews that want to kick the Muslims off their land. These two groups feel put upon for historical reasons and feel that what is at stake is their very survival. I don't, well, I mean, Christians feel the same way, but if you're comfortable in your home in the United States and you're thinking, you're going rah rah Jews, and Israel wouldn't even exist or wouldn't be able to perform these atrocities, but for one thing: support by evangelical Christians who are rooting them on. They're like patting them on the back, go, yeah, 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 kill him, good, good. And the Jew might be sitting there going, is this right? Is this right? If what I'm doing is right? But you got this Christian slapping you on the back going, yeah, good Jew, good Jew. Be a good Jew, kill all the Muslims for us. And you're like, well, they are trying to kill me. Maybe the Christian's right. Maybe I don't have really time or the luxury of showing restraint or sitting here and having a philosophical debate with myself on whether how to be nice, find a nice way to deal with someone who's trying to kill me. Now, about the beheaded babies and the rapes, I think there were some rapes. I think that's exaggerated. But the thing is, though, a lot of the atrocities that occurred on, was it October 7th? And I'm just going to say this because I've done a lot of research, have been debunked. What happened? Well, the IDF finally showed up. I don't know whether it was incompetence. I think maybe this was, like I was saying before, I think it was kind of manipulated by Netanyahu because there were members of his own tribe that he wanted to get rid of. And he says, oh, look what Hamas did. Where were we? Oops. He let that happen, Jews. He did that to you. Netanyahu did that to you because he wants power. He's a Hitler. It's like Hitler, when the Germans were losing, he said, you are weak. You let me down. You deserve to be annihilated. Hitler wasn't for the Jew. Was Hitler a self-hating Jew? I don't know. He was very worried that he was. And they've done DNA tests on members of his family and found, yeah, there's a lot of Ashkenazi Jewish blood in Hitler, and also not Northern Europe. The man had more North African blood in him than Northern European. He really did. He was really a self-hating Jew. So there. So finally, because he killed as many Germans as he did Jews. Maybe he didn't even know that this was going on in his head. But maybe what he really wanted was just to kill as many people. He focused on the Jews. But the German people, maybe some people say they deserved it. When the Red Army came in, they raped, they murdered. The suffering of the German people for being suckered in by Hitler was astronomical. In the end, give me Germany for 5 years and you won't recognize it. There was just fucking rubble. That's what Adolf Hitler did for you Germans. You listen to him, and I think the same thing's going to be true if Jews listen to Netanyahu. He doesn't love you. He doesn't even care about the welfare of the Jewish people. He cares about the welfare of Benjamin Netanyahu, or Jews that agree with him. He's a very manipulative, power-hungry guy. The people in those kibbutzes, I think, are the kibbutzes, they're left-wing Jews, and they don't like Netanyahu. So he killed two birds with one stone. He held back. He let this thing happen. And when he finally came in, the burned up bodies and the beheaded babies and all that, Google the Hannibal Doctrine. The IDF, and they can't keep this quiet, but it's true. They fired at the hostages. They killed the hostages. And the helicopters, why do you think there's so many burned up bodies? What did Hamas have that did they have flamethrowers? Did they have flamethrowers? I don't know. No, they didn't. They had automatic weapons. Those burned bodies weren't Hamas. Those beheaded babies weren't Hamas. The IDF fired on their own people and blew their bodies to smithereens and incinerated them. They did that. Most of the casualties among Jews were committed by their own army, trying, because they don't want hostages. They still got away with them. Now, have there been rapes? I'm sure they have. are the people of Hamas, Buttercup Boy Scouts, peaceniks that are ethical. No, these people are scum. They're thugs. Hamas are thugs. Most people in the world are thugs. The French, who I adore, they're really my people. I'm from a weird place. It's Alsace. They're like a mélange. Les Allemands, les Français. I'm a mongrel. I'm not French and I'm not German. I'm both. If you look at history, the French never considered people of Alsace-Lorraine to be French. They thought they were Germans. The Germans never fully accepted Alsatians as German. They thought they were French. We are a mongrel people. We are both and we are nothing. I have very curly hair. I have got people in my family with that French blood that are very, very dark. They definitely don't look like Aryans. That's why a lot of people think we're Jews. My nose. But I've got very curly hair. And some people, like I said, some people in my family. Where's Grandpa? Where's Grandpa? You don't get to see him because I don't. Then you know too much about me. Where? Oh, there he is. There he is. Okay, I'm looking at a picture. Well, I'm not because it won't. Oh, here it is. There's Nani. Yeah, look at that. Definitely an Aryan nose. Dishwater blonde hair. Blue eyes. She looked German. Old Frenchy grandpa had a thing for blondes. He just cherchez la femme. And yeah, she was 65 there. She was still a very attractive woman. When she was young, she was a doll. She was an absolute doll. And very German looking. Now this guy here, my grandfather, dark, curly hair, big Roman nose. Is he a Jew? Is he a Dago? Who knows? But he doesn't he was German, but those are Italian features right there, or Mediterranean. Big Roman nose, curly hair, and the skin. I mean, obviously we're not Negroes, but it's that kind of Sicilian tan Italian skin that some French have, like Marion Cotillard. It's like a permanent tan, and that's my blood. Okay, so I know for a fact, even though I might look very Aryan, I know a fact that I am not. Is that Jewish blood? Not according to 23andMe. According to 20, that's why science I think gets it wrong sometimes. If you look at people that are blood relatives, that blood is in me. They're damn sure not Aryans. They're not. Do Aryans have dark curly hair? Do Aryans have big noses? So it's like a recessive thing. So most of us have very, very Aryan features. Most of us are very pale. My sister can't even go out in the sun. She's got that red hair. She has no defense against sun. None. None. Some of us are very dark. So there's no such thing as a pure race. There is just no such thing. There isn't. And God knows I'm not. My blood's about as pure as Hitler's. We'll leave it at that. But yes, I hate myself, but not because I'm Jewish. I was raised in the Church of the Bethany Covenant. I'm a Protestant. Never even been in a synagogue. I'm in a Catholic church often because like half the family's Catholic. But trust me, I can say this with complete honesty. I'm totally without prejudice in real life. I hate everybody equally. And the people I hate more than anybody else are my own people. I admire Germans, but I don't particularly like them. They frighten me. I'm not an evangelical Christian, but I think more than any other religion on earth, I hate them the most because they're the most hypocritical. They're supposed to share their wealth, and they live in these big houses. This whole prosperity gospel is so bogus and so against. Christianity says if you've got anything more than you need, you're supposed to give it away. It's actually kind of communist almost, if you're a real Christianity. If you're a true Christian, you shouldn't have 3 homes. You shouldn't have a fancy car. Whatever it is that you need to live, that's all you deserve, like a vow of poverty. like in the Catholic Church. Only the Catholic Church has like treasuries full of gold. So, I'm just what I'm saying is we're all hypocrites, all of us. You can pick apart any ideology, any group, because it's all hypocrisy. I'm sure there are hypocritical Buddhas. So, which is why I decided on Buddhism, because I something in my head tells me that Alexa, unpause. That we're just visiting.
I suspend the scene on the screens so I can enter it. Dr. N. What? Are you saying you become part of the scene yourself? Subject. Yes. Now I have direct access to the action.
Alexa, pause. This is goofy stuff. It's like hippy dippy, new age crap. It's just so out there. Oh my God, is that a bug on my wall again? God, I hate this. What the hell is this? I don't want to get on my chair. I'm too lazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these. This used to belong to my dad. He used to put his socks on with these. And I got a new tool over there, but I have to get up. Okay, what is that on the wall? I got it. What was that? Yeah, it was just like lint or something. What is this sticky stuff on this towel? Too old for this. Oh, I'll tell you what it is. Because Mr. Happy doesn't work anymore, something, and it's still wet. This is what it is. And I would recommend this. It's made out of coconut oil. It's coconut oil. And I put it in my hair. I mean, it doesn't smell too bad. It actually tastes all right. But you don't eat it. Don't eat it. That's weird. But it resembles another substance. It really does. It looks like it and it feels like it. So it's kind of creepy putting it in your hair. But it's coconut oil! All right? I'm not putting sperm in my hair. But that's what it feels like. I mean, Friday night, you're 19 years old and some of it squirts on the wall. And the girl throws you out in her underwear. Oh, that was embarrassing. And you're covered in your own excess. I shouldn't talk about that. That was pretty well, Jesus Christ, that was 45 years ago. Give me a break. And I was only 19. I didn't know what I was doing. Evidently something I did. I know what it was. We don't have to talk about it. Extremely offensive to her. I should have asked permission before I, tried to gain access to that particular orifice. Yeah, I was drunk. And don't worry, the only person that suffered any physical damage was me. She was an Ojibwe Indian, and she was like 6 feet tall and must have weighed at least 200 pounds. But she was attractive, if you can believe it. Just a big girl. And I touched her someplace, and this is in the midst of sex, or poked her someplace she didn't like being poked. She knocked me across the room and punched me. So she was not the victim. I mean, I did something I shouldn't have done. I agree that, but I didn't deserve the brutal beating that I got. So it was like after that, I had people, I hear about women getting battered, and I thought, the one time I mistreated a woman, I had bruised ribs. I had a broken nose. I had chipped teeth. I didn't do that again. But that's it when you try to have sex with. Well, she was attractive, but she was bigger and stronger than I was. So, lesson learned. I was a bad boy. But see, that was the thing why I believe it was immediate karma. You were intermingling with someone she was a big girl and she was fucking strong and she was really pissed. Really pissed. Oh well. I learned the lesson. You have to show respect. And you got to have self-control. And always ask permission before, doing the back door, man. Wait, is that a song? I think it is. This is 1979, all right? So it's nothing that I did recently. And it was like, I want you to know, in all sincerity, that I was the victim there. I was hurt so bad. I was the one that was hurt. You have no idea how much pain I was in. Broken nose, broken ribs. I was dealing with someone who was physically stronger than me and actually knew how to throw a punch. My groin. Surprised my testicles didn't explode. It was awful. I got the shit kicked out of me. There was gender fluid everywhere. But it taught me a lesson. Always be polite, because you never know. The person that you're victimizing might... Alexa, stop. Alexa, unpause. Alexa, stop. Alexa, play Audible.
Getting your selection from Audible. Resuming Journey of Souls.
Now I have direct access to the action.
I did. So I thought. Alexa, pause. This is why karma is so important and why it's important to always think about the other person. Would you want someone to treat you that way? Would you want someone, you're starving and you're trying to eat and someone's killing you or hurting you on a cattle car? We're all guilty of this. We're all in 2001 at the watering hole. You know, we're out the watering hole. It's my watering hole. It's our watering hole. And one tribe of monkeys figures out, ooh, if I beat the other monkey in the head with a bone, I have superior technology. I have Apache helicopters. Well, look what the Americans gave me. They gave me these tanks, and I turned them into Merker tanks. So I must be a fancy monkey. I'm a fancy monkey, and I'm superior to the other monkeys that don't have the bones yet. So I'm going to kill them all. Not the Jews, folks, not the Muslims, not the Christians. We have all been at this for 500,000 years with our monkey brains, pointing at the other monkeys, going, it's them. It's them. They did this to us. We're the good monkeys. They're the bad monkeys. We're going to kill the bad monkeys. And we're still thinking that way. And how long has Buddhism been around and Hinduism? We've been trying to perfect our brains and get away from that for 3,000-4,000 years, and we still haven't. We haven't made a lot of progress. Didn't Jesus say, love one another? And if I give you any of your commandments, it's you love your neighbor as yourself. He tried to get it right, and then he said he came with the sword, and then if you didn't believe in him, you're going to burn in hell. Maybe that was a metaphor for if you didn't believe in love, you were going to... that's the thing. I cannot believe that a God or a supreme being would have people suffer forever simply because they made a mistake and picked the wrong religion. I'm not going to believe in your Jesus Christ because there are lots of religions. I'm just, but I'll tell you this. Being an atheist or an agnostic left me so empty. It left me so hollow inside and feeling so alone. If you don't believe in anything, you can be convinced to do anything. People need some sort of guidance. We just need to find the right set of rules that brings us together, not apart. That brings us that we love each other, not that so that we're at each other's throat and ready to kill each other and blaming people. And I'm sorry I say all these terrible things, but there's I'm just going to say it because it's sincere. And you can say he's full of shit and he's crazy, but crazy people don't know they're crazy, and I know I am. There are two people up here. Two. And they're at war. And depending on the situation that I find myself in, one will take over. I mean, both are aware of what's going on. It's not like I black out. They're the same, but they're different. And I don't think you'll ever see the really ugly me. I don't tend to come on when I'm angry. Angry isn't the word for it. The other me is so full of rage that I don't even think he's capable of reading and writing or even doing anything but grunting. He's an animal. He's an id. It's like Forbidden Planet. It's the monster. Morbius. Remember Morbius? Monster from the id. The subconscious, hateful id inside all of us that was making him destroy everybody around him because they wouldn't listen to him. Well, I have a monster in my head. It's the monster from. It's like the Tempest. It's like Morbius. and we're all like that. But I'm more acutely aware of it because I can't control it. We all have monsters. We all have demons in our subconscious, and the secret is to control them because we're all part of one big cosmic thingy, or at least we should. We should live as if it's like we should, even if there's no God, we should live as if there is one. Because as bad as life was with religion, you do away with it, and it's going to be a whole lot worse. And how do we know this? Well, communism, Stalin, Lenin, even the French Revolution, which I'm very fond of. Every time you got away from religion, you just had this explosion of carnivorous savagery, and we're always fighting it. So I'm going to try to step back from what's going on in the world and deal with try to make myself a little bit more calm myself down. Like, this doesn't matter. When you die, it's not like, you wasted your whole life, you're going to hell. We're just here to learn, man. Alexa, unpause. We're just here to learn.
A person in the sea, or does your soul hover overhead while people move around? Subject, both. I can experience what life is like with anyone in the scene, or just watch them from any vantage point.
Alexa, pause. Now, is this goofy shit true? Probably not. It does sound goofy, but I'm curious. What's real? What happens to us after we die? What lessons are we here to learn? Why are we always fighting with each other? Why do we hate each other? Why are we trying to kill each other? And why can't we find some way to move beyond that? So now you've dealt with the good me or the fraudulent. You're going to think this is just, the evil me is real me, and I'm putting on a nice face. I'm telling you not. This is the real me, or the me that I'd like to be. The other me is a little demon. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's a demon that gets out, and I can't control him. I'm not going to apologize for him because you get on the internet, you see that I'm probably no more guilty of this than anybody else. But they're not aware of it, or they're aware of it. They are. People aren't that stupid. They just like being mean. They're like me. They like being mean. It makes them feel powerful. That's why I like keeping. The other thing is, a knife can't go off accidentally. So how much damage can I do with the knife? You get too close to me, and you're gonna fucking find out. So be nice, be respectful, be kind, be polite. Because an armed society is a polite society. And as much as I'd like not to have a weapon like this and carry it around in my pocket all the time, I do. And I'm good with it. So if you're going to come after me, remember that. Preferred way to go is sneak up on me, or get a hunting rifle and blow my brains out from a distance. Because if you get too close, I might be an old man that can barely move, but my hand still works, and I'm left-handed, and I'm damn good with a knife, damn good. But I'm not going to come after you for what you have, or because you have something I want. The only time I would ever use that knife is if it was fairly obvious to me that you meant me harm and you wanted to hurt me, and then I will slice you up like you're a piece of sirloin fucking steak, or a bunch of carrots I want to throw in a stew. I'm a cook. I will cut you into little fucking pieces. I will, but only in self-defense. Otherwise, it's like that's right to bear arms. You leave me alone, I'm not coming after you. And that's the beauty of a weapon like this. You can't go running into a crowd and kill 60 people with the knife. You just can't. Especially if you're a sick old man. You might be able to take out one or two, but eventually someone's going to take the knife away from you. It's a reasonable weapon to use for self-defense. I mean, it really is, because it's ugly. It's like a broken bottle is even worse. Some of the worst wounds I've ever seen, just really horrible. Watch Fallout, where she takes the glass and cuts the guy's face. The most vicious, brutal wounds you can inflict on somebody is with a broken bottle. But a knife, if you know where to use this, it's like, remember Commando, where he says, "Come on, what's the guy's name? Himmler, whatever your name is, you gay-looking blondie guy from Australia, put the gun down. You don't need the gun. You can beat me. I only have one good arm. Come on, get in close. Use the knife, twist it, and see what's going on in my mind while the blood runs out. Because I am Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let off some steam. What was his name? Kruger? Himmler? Himmler? Alexa, what was the villain's name in the movie Commando?
I don't know that one.
Oh, you're useless. I'll find it. Let off some steam. What was his name? It's nothing to this. Commando. Commando. Movie. 1985. Okay, it's 1985. Ri Dong Chong was so sweet in that movie. David Patrick Kelly. Bill Duke. Oh, they're still alive. Oh, Vernon Wells. Alyssa Milano. See, they're all. She's a little kid now. She's like in her 50s. Okay, come on. I gotta do something about this computer. Just there. Okay, here we go. Cast. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ray Down Chong, Alyssa Milano, President Arias, Vernon Wells, Bennett. This name was Bennett. That wasn't Himmler. It was, come on, Bennett. You can beat me. Vernon Wells. He looks so fucking gay in that movie. Oh, yeah, he's 78. Oh, he looks good. Oh, good. He's, was he in Weird Science? I guess he was in Weird Science, too. He was always playing these. I think Vernon Wells was also in Mad Max 2. Broken Hill. Okay, cast. Who did Vernon Wells play? Bruce Spence. Vernon Wells as Wes, a mohawked, leather-clad biker who serves as Humongous' lieutenant. Vincent Canby writing. Most evil of Humongous' followers. Who's Humongous? Lord Humongous. Oh, Kyle Nielsen as Humongous, the violent yet charismatic, articulate leader of the vicious gang of post-Holocaust motorcycle riding vandals. He's still alive. They don't have a picture of him. Oh, he's Swedish. All right. Well, he looked very Aryan. They always make a nice stereotypical villain. So, anyways, I'm gonna try. I'm tired of apologizing because nobody believes it, and it's just a waste. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to try to be a less hateful person. I'm just going to avoid hearing about all the horrible things going on in the world because they just make me angry and make me feel helpless and make me crazy. So I'm just going to concentrate on my Buddhism or whatever the hell that is. Trying to learn what happens after we die. Why does any of this really even matter after we're dead? I mean, World War II mattered, and I hate to say it, but they're all dead. I mean, it affects us now. But the Battle of Hastings, I mean, these battles, they come and they go. We're always fighting. And then we die, and what was it all for? We should be like Switzerland and just make cuckoo clocks and chocolate. And, that's a good conservative utopia. Very decentralized, low taxes. Everybody's got a gun. Although you need a permit. They do background checks in Switzerland. That they'll do. All right, I've been talking for an hour and 24 minutes. And I mean you no harm. Don't come after me and try to kill me. And if you do it from a distance, all right? And just a good clean shot to the head. There's no reason to try to torture me or be mean to me. And always remember, you get up too close, I am more than capable, even I can barely walk, but this hand still works, all right? And I know what to do with it. And I've used, the only time I've ever killed anybody was with a fucking knife, all right? And it was someone coming after me with a broken bottle. And I know for a fact they were a pedophile because that's why we were confronting them. We just wanted to ask them if they'd messed with this little girl. He got nervous. He broke a bottle. And I watched him go slow. I watched the life ooze out of him. And then we dumped his body in the bay. And I don't really feel any remorse. I don't know what his race was. I'm pretty sure he was white, although he might have been. I don't think he was Hispanic. I really don't. I think he was pretty white. But we didn't go after him for racial reasons. We went after him because he tried to fuck a kid, tried to rape a kid, and beat the kid up and scared the kid pretty bad. And he was a miserable piece of shit. And we were trying to warn him off, and he got too close. And he tried to cut me with a bottle, which is my greatest fear now. But I had a switchblade, and it was no big loss. So, like I say, I'm not a nice person. I wish I was. I don't feel bad about killing a bad person. He was a bad person, and it wasn't racial. It was about him hurting a child, which is the perfect excuse to kill somebody. You don't have to feel bad. He was a piece of shit, and he owed us money too. Yeah, we weren't saints. He owed us money for drugs. He did hurt that kid though. And it was like that was the straw that broke the camel's back. He wasn't going to pay us, and he was hurting kid. It was just a piece of shit, just a fucking piece of shit. And a gun would have been too loud. And besides, the guns aren't any fun. Although I had to throw those clothes away. I had to burn them because they were just coated in blood. I liked the look on his face when he was dying. I really, really do. All of a sudden, that haughtiness, that arrogance he had, it's just terror. Just don't cut my dick. It was a funny thing to say as you die. Don't cut my dick. And I have to say, I wished I had, but I thought that might be too gay to go down there and slice his wiener off. It was just opened him up and watched his intestines spill out, which was fucking messy. Everybody says, now we got a mess to clean up. What'd you have to fucking do that for? I said, I'm sorry. I'm going to need a little help cleaning this up. That was a mess. That was really a mess. But I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have done that. I'm a better person now. I don't do drugs. For 25, 30 years, I haven't anything to do with crime. No guns. I don't hurt people. I try to be polite, except on the internet. Because I think it's that demon coming out. It's almost like a need to find a bad person that deserves to be punished. And the bad person that deserves to be punished really is me. I've never done anything other than that. I don't lie, cheat, steal, or rape ever. I'm not that bad. But I think some of the anger in my soul makes me feel terribly guilty that I would have these angry things going on in my head, or that in the past I was capable of violence and I committed against anyone, even a bad person. Even a bad person. I tried acting too and writing like scripts and things. I was never really good at it though. I could do like scenes, but I could never get the whole thing down. And I was never good at reading lines. I was very good at like impromptu, like what do they call it, when it's spontaneous. It's like Tears and Rain by Blade Runner. All these things will be gone like tears and rain. Time to die. That wasn't written down for him. There was a real speech he gave, but he said it sounded kind of corny, and it did. The real lines were awfully corny, and he changed them. He ad-libbed? Yeah, he ad-libbed. It was ad-libbed, and it was improvised, and it was just probably will always have Paris. One of the great movie lines of all time. All these things will be, I've seen things that you wouldn't believe. All these moments will be gone like tears and rain. And that's life. The good, the bad, it's gone like tears and rain. And what happens next? Who knows? But we should try to be like Jesus said. We should try to love one another and be kind to each other and love your brother as you love yourself. Try not to scratch your testicles in public. Oh, why am I itchy down there? Ugh. The things that happens when you're old. All right, okay. This is why you take showers, Paul. Anyways, I'm not a bad person. I haven't done anything really bad in a long time. When I did, it was not a nice person. It had nothing to do with race. It was just somebody that owed us money. And there was a rumor that he was fucking kids or molesting kids. And there was this kid that was all black and blue with skin knees. The mother came out and says, he's selling drugs to that piece of shit. And look, you created a monster, and tried to stick his hands down my daughter's underpants. We said, lady, I gave her $100. I'll make sure he never hurts anybody. Just don't call the cops. We'll deal with this. And she looked scared. And I said, well, I already called the cops. And they don't do anything. And I said, yeah, well, we've got them bought off. So don't even bother. And this is the nice thing I did. Everybody was like, well, we got to deal with them. I says, we leave the mother and the kid alone. I says, my way of dealing with it is to hand this lady on welfare some money so she can buy her kids some clothes, maybe take her to the doctor, get her straightened out, and we'll go deal with this fuck that owes us money and is messing with kids. And we just wanted to scare him. Now we wanted to beat him up. But he had to pull a broken fucking bottle. You can't see the scars anymore, but he left a nice cut in my arm. 50 stitches. 50 fucking stitches in my nice arm. And I had to wait because, it was like blood. I mean, obviously you can't. I would have shown up right away at the hospital. They probably would have arrested. How we got away with that, I don't know. We did. Got away with it. Dumped the body in the bay. I kept my army wrapped up. I went to the emergency room and they said, what happened? I said, I was in the mission. Well, actually, this happened over in Oakland. Again, it was a white guy, though. It was a white guy. Kind of white. I don't know. It wasn't racial. It was about money and about him molesting a kid, allegedly. So I said, look, someone in the mission tried. He says, well, why didn't you come in right away? And I said, look, it's a long story. I was in hiding. He says, can you help me? And it was like, since it was a couple days later, and who the fuck cares if some junkie gets sliced up, really? Especially some junkie that everybody's saying, and he not only was a junkie, but he's always hanging around the schools. It's like we were performing a public service. No women, no kids. I was that way, though. I didn't like to hurt innocent people. And so she was on welfare. I think she was trying to get off. The fucking kid was completely innocent. I said, we don't hurt women and kids. So I said, I'll buy them off. I'll give them some money. And we weren't rich, but $100 was, a lot of money back 40, 45 years ago. More than it is now, let's just put it that way. I try not to be that person. But that's kind of why people say drugs are victimless crime. They're not. They poison everything. They poison everyone. They make life miserable for innocent victims. Of course, she used to buy pot from Sadie. Wasn't really in the gang, but she's some hippie chick that sold pot in the neighborhood. Yeah, who's innocent, We had guns, too. I got pictures of me with my AK. I don't have that photo anymore, do I? Wonder what happened to that. I think it was burned, but I I got it on the internet someplace. I probably shouldn't post it. Me, a big smile holding my AK, my semi-automatic version of an AK. What a handsome young man I was then. What a menace to society. What a douche. I mean, really, what a venomous douche I was. Even when I was trying to get out of that, I was not a good person, and I'm still trying to get out of it. Okay, but just know that the drug. I think all the drugs kind of must have been all the LSD I did in 1981. That messes with your brain. Okay, and I think it unloosens the id. It unloosens negative demons in your brain. I mean, the religious people watching this will just tell you probably unleashed a demon in my brain, and I'm still to this day trying to put that demon away. So no, I'm trying, and I'm trying to be good and not hurt people, and just don't piss me off. That's the one thing. I'm just never good with stress, and if you piss me off, you'll bring out the demon. And he's not a nice guy. I'm a wimp. I'm a wimp until I get pushed. You have to really push me because I'm a coward. But once I'm a cornered animal, another person comes out. That's how people survive. That's how people survive, with the multiple personalities. And that personality is fully capable of killing people and likes it. Just know that. So if you're coming after me, don't give me an opportunity. Just take me out. Just take me out. I'll live again. We all do. Maybe I'll come back as a better person next time. Maybe I'll learn some lessons. But I'm not so much afraid of dying as I am afraid of pain and afraid of not trying to better myself. I gotta try to be a better person, and I gotta stop letting out the ugly and try to find a way to be good and contribute good to society and love and peace and all that other sissified stuff that is not manly but honorable nonetheless. I'm not trying to be a man. I'm trying to be a good man. I'm trying to be a good person. So bear with me. And if you are, for whatever reason, going to come after me, do it from a distance and make it quick, because I don't deserve to suffer. And neither do you. See, I can act. I can make up stories too. You said I'm not original. How about that story, huh? I think it was original, and I bet you got a little scared too, didn't you? I admit it, you're a little scared. You're a little scared of the old man, fat old man.
This is a reminder. God is a comedian playing to an audience too afraid to laugh. This is a reminder. God is a comedian playing to an audience too afraid to laugh.